Hello and welcome back. In this video we're gonna talk about scenes, walls, visions, lights and regions. We're picking up where we left off in the getting started video. First thing we're gonna do is dive a little bit deeper into the scene's settings. As you can see, at the moment the image we picked does not fit the entire grid, and the squares are a weird size. What's up with that? You can configure a scene by either clicking it in the Scenes tab, right-clicking it and pressing Configure, or right-clicking it in the top bar and pressing Configure. We want to click on Grid and fix the grid size. In Foundry, the default is 100 pixels. The image I use, though, uses squares of 150. We're gonna click Save Changes. Much better. But there's still this weird border. This is due to the padding. It is normally used for a GM to hide stuff, but it does leave this weird gap between the scene's edge and the background. In order to emphasize that, I will also change the background color. I'd recommend picking a predominant color from the scene that is around the edge, and we'll come back to this after discussing vision. For that, we want to switch to lighting. Here, a few options play an important role when it comes to how tokens see on the map. Firstly, token vision. As the description explains it, if this is disabled, the tokens will see everything. We can preview a token's vision by dragging it on the scene and clicking on it. As you can see, it's pitch black. Now, if I disable token vision, we can see everything. This is great if you want to present a scene that is just a picture or a painting in order to set the mood, or if you set up a scene with the city or world map. We will re-enable it for now. Another really important setting is global illumination. This will light up the entire scene. It's ideal for an open or outdoor type of scene. We will leave this on for now. Back to our token, we can see everything again, because everything is lit from the global illumination. As I mentioned earlier, you can see that nasty edge that comes from the padding. I personally am not a big fan of it, so we're gonna configure the scene. Going back to grid, and here is the padding slider. We're gonna drag that all the way to 0. There we go. Much nicer. Now we're gonna take a quick break from vision, delete the token for now, and we're gonna talk about walls. You can find the walls by clicking on this brick looking button on the left. This will change our available tools. At the moment, Foundry has these available options for walls. First icon is just the select wall tool, followed by normal, terrain, invisible and ethereal walls, doors, secret walls, and windows. Then there is the duplicate tool, the snap to grid, close all doors, and finally clear walls button. In order to properly display all wall types, I created a scene that has an example for each of them. To move to another scene, you can either click on it on the top navigation bar or in the Scenes tab. You can right click it and select View Scene. This will only move you to that specific scene. If you want to move all the players at once, you can right click it in both locations and select Activate. This will drag all the players to it. Please note that when using Activate after you log out and log back in, you and all the users will be put on that scene automatically. If you wish to drag a single player to the scene, you need to be on that specific scene. And down in the Players panel, right-click whichever player you wish and click Pull to Scene. I will be using WASD to move the token. You can also use arrow keys or drag. The reason I am not using drag to move is because as a GM, I can drag a token through walls, and I also want to showcase movement. A normal wall blocks vision and movement, thus, we cannot see the NPC behind the wall. A terrain wall will block movement, but will show what's behind it, unless another terrain wall is there. As you can see, since I put a smaller terrain wall behind that one, it is blocked. An invisible wall will block movement, but will not block sight. An ethereal wall will block sight, but will not block movement. A door will display an icon that a user can click on only if they can see the door and open it. It also blocks movement and sight. Please note that it does not have a range, so as long as someone can see the door, they can open it. This also means that if they are right next to the door but don't see it due to light, for example, they can't open it. The GM can also right-click the door in order to lock it. This will change the icon for the GM only, but will leave the normal door icon for the user. If they click on it, it will make a locked sound. A secret wall will block sight and movement, and it will show an icon only for the GM. When the GM clicks on it, the secret door will open, changing to an opener icon for the GM only. As a game master, you can also right-click it in order to lock it. This helps to prevent accidental clicks. Finally, there is the window. At first glance, it appears to block sight, but once we get closer to it, we can see more. It also blocks movement. If you wish to move your token less than an entire grid cell, you can hold shift while dragging the token. This will allow you to freely place the token wherever you want. Now we're gonna attempt to wall our scene. First thing we want to do is make sure we have the basic wall selected and enable Force Snap to Grid. Force Snap to Grid allows you to perfectly place a wall on the grid, assuming our art was created on the grid in the first place. If we have Force Snap to Grid disabled, this will allow us to more freely place a wall. Now with Force Snap to Grid enabled, we're gonna drag our first wall. If we wish to continue from that wall, we can either hold Ctrl and drag from the point. Make sure to release Ctrl before releasing the click. Or considering we have Force Snap to Grid enabled, we can just drag it and it will automatically fit to the grid. If you don't release Ctrl before releasing the wall, it will start placing another wall. This can be useful in case you have to place multiple walls in a row. If you messed up and we want to modify the position of a wall, make sure you're on the select walls. You can either select it and drag it, or if you hover over the wall, you can start dragging it. In case you hover another wall and hover the point, then you will drag that wall. You can see that I left some spots open for the doors. We can either drag or hold Ctrl. I'm placing windows for the windows, and I'm gonna use an invisible wall for the counter, since we don't want our players to get over it. Now, if you drag an actor on the scene, we can preview it. Notice that on this scene, even though we lose vision in a specific area, we can still see what was there. But if we place an NPC, that is now hidden. This is due to the fact that in the configuration, under lighting, we have fog exploration. This will allow a token to remember how that specific area looked like without providing information on what's happening there. Another key factor in a token's vision is inside this token prototype. You can open that by double right-clicking a token and go to Vision. If it has Vision enabled, it will take into consideration light and walls, while if it has Vision disabled, it will basically see everything. Usually we don't want that. If you change anything in this token configuration right now, the changes will remain just for this token, and when we drag another one, they will not apply. In order to remember them, we want to click on the actor itself. Here we have the prototype token icon. When we click on it, a token setting panel will open. Here we can make the changes and update the token. If we made the specific changes on a token already and we don't want to have to change them again, we can select the token and assign token. This will apply all the settings from this token to this actor. I will leave Vision enabled. This also applies for NPCs. Now another problem that might arise is when you have a scene that has both indoors and outdoors. What happens if there is no light inside? In that case, you will want to probably disable global illumination. Now the problem is, how do you light up the scene? This is when we go into lights. Place light will illuminate that area. If you drag a token, it can now only see inside the area that has light. In order to properly cover the entire map, it's best to go in a corner and drag all the way to the other. This is now a huge light that we can place wherever we want. We can hover the light and press Ctrl+C to copy it, and paste it in order to properly cover all the exterior areas. This will now leave the inside properly dark. As you can see, the light does not go inside the building. Why is that? Well, you see, as the token has to be close to a window in order to peek in, so does the light. By holding shift, we can place the light wherever we want, and like that we can control how much light goes inside. Now you can see that there's light peeking inside. Another thing that we might want to do is double click the light. This will open its settings. Down here we have a darkness activation range. If we set this between 0 and 0.5, we can set the light to automatically turn off when we click the transition to darkness button. The transition to darkness button will slowly apply an overlay that will darken the entire scene. As you can see, our light turned off. The others didn't because they do not have the same settings. Let's say we want to have a campfire that only activates during the night. We can drag a light, double click it, change its light color to reddish orange. After which, we go to light animation and choose torch. We can set an animation speed and an animation intensity. We can set dim and bright radius. Let's go with 40 and 20. In order to reverse it, we're gonna set it between 0.5 and 1. If we now use the transition to daylight, you will see as the fire will now turn off and all the other lights will turn on. Now since we have fog exploration on, that means a user will remember what's been explored. Please note that it does not matter if you use a specific player's actor or token while logged in on the GM account. The fog exploration is bound to the account. That being said, you might want to explore an area while being logged on to the player account. But if you do make a mistake, the only option you have is to go back to the light controls and press the Reset Fog Exploration button. As you can see, this will reset the fog of war for this scene for all the players. Lastly, we have the regions. Here we can create a new region, name it however we want, set a color for it, and a shape. If we click on Create Shape from Controlled Walls, we can then select a group of walls. It doesn't matter which type of walls they are, and press plus again. This will create a polygon in the shape of the wall selected. I'm gonna delete this one. What happens if we do not wish to use walls? Well, in that case, we can go back to region controls and draw a rectangle, an ellipse, or a freeform polygon. In this case, I'm gonna use a rectangle. Doing that will create a new region. I'm gonna delete the old region and create a second region, which I'm gonna color blue. In behaviors, we can select something like teleport token and create a new region behavior. For that, we need the destination UID. Please note that the color did not save as I forgot to press the update region button. We're gonna click the configure region button from the first one, and here we have the copy document UID button, which we're gonna press. Back into our second region, under behaviors, we can now edit it, paste the UID, and press enter. After which we can press the update region behavior and update region. We can now do the same for our first region. Now back on the token layer, we will not be able to see the regions, but if we do step on one, we will get teleported. Regions can be a very powerful tool, as they allow you to adjust darkness level, display scrolling text, execute macros and scripts, pause games, suppress weather, and toggle behaviors. They are a more advanced tool, but can be easily used by beginners. I hope you found this helpful. Feel free to leave a comment in case something was not clear enough, or if there's something specific that you wish to know how it's done. See you next time.